most of the S&P 500 indexes are lower, and we just have that average volume on the day ticking higher, which tells you these sellers mean business. To talk more about whether or not this selling could continue for stocks, let's bring in Christian Fromhertz of Tribeca Trade Group. Great to have you with us as always, Christian. And you're also interested in what happens around expiration day and in the second half of the month. And August can often be pretty difficult.
Hey, Abigail, great to be here. And yeah, I mean, it's certainly being felt a little bit more today, but it's not something that, that is new in terms of this breakdown in market breadth or deterioration as we've seen. We've seen the last couple days just, a lot of the bigger names outperform a bit, and it's kind of masking the overall weakness that we're seeing, specifically in the NASDAQ and the small cap side, where we're just seeing that deterioration in the advanced decline line going now for a couple months.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. And so when we take a look at the chart in the terminal, this is the number of advancers or advancing stocks to declining stocks in the NASDAQ, and you can see very clearly below the 200-day moving average. Do you expect that weakness to continue? And if the NASDAQ is weak, do you think that it bodes poorly for the S&P 500 and some of the other indexes? And I might add, the Russell 2000 today back down on its 200-day moving average for the first time in quite some time, with some signals suggesting it's going to go well below it now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's we're at the point where something has to give, and it's also due to one of the things that you said earlier is just that the time of month that we're in. We've been seeing this almost every month of 2021, where the first part of the month, the first 15 days are pretty strong, and then we see some deterioration as well, just in the price action in the last couple weeks, and specifically around options expiration. So we're either going to have to start to see, once we kind of get out of this week, a higher participation, or my feeling is we're going to see just more things move to the downside.
Well, before turning to today's big topic, of course, retail, and that's what your trade's on, Romain was just talking about that weakness for tech stocks, China tech stocks, that we've been tracking really for weeks, if not months, and you were saying that this isn't out of the blue, and that's really quite true. We have China tech shares down sharply. That, of course, when you put that together with August, makes me think of Black Monday in August of 2015. Are we setting up for anything like that in your mind?
Well, I hope not, but like I said, I do think that there's some weak seasonality around here, and I think having a little bit of downside protection makes sense, for the next 2 weeks too, because it is a weak part of the year. So, a trade that I like here is just looking at the XRT, the equally weighted retail, which is seeing a lot of put activity today, and just going out a couple weeks and just looking at the September 3rd 91.89 put spread, and you can get involved and have that hedge in place for about 80 cents, which I think is good risk to reward if you think that there's going to be weakness in the next couple weeks.
And then very quickly before we let you go, Christian, what about the low volatility stocks? You were talking about how some of the big cap names are really masking some of the weakness. Those low volatility stocks and ETF around that positioning, very, very strong. Do you expect that to continue as folks try to hide in some of those high quality names?
Well, it just gives you a sense of the risk appetite. Things like utilities, consumer staples, REITs have been very strong, and those are housed in that SPLV low volatility ETF. The way that we've been seeing this market move is just rotations. So I would think at some point there might be some profit taking in here, and maybe some deployment into some higher risk areas, possibly once we get through the month of August.
Movement into higher risk areas, something to stay tuned to for sure. Christian Fromhertz, CEO of Tribeca Trade Group, thanks so much as always for joining us for Options Insight today. And from New York, this is Bloomberg.